Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for staying to chat with the artists. Thank you, Andrew, Margaux, and Ao for a gorgeous performance, and a massive welcome to Joel.
Yes. I mean,
oh, wow. Wow. Thank you. Yeah. Awesome. Yes.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Oh, wow. All right. We ready? Let's do this. I'm going to start off this post-show discussion, which will be in around the 20-minute range, by posing a couple questions to this lovely team, and then we'll turn it out to you, the audience, because I know we want to hear what you have to say as well. I'm just going to begin with beginnings. I'm going to ask you all a little bit about your involvement in the show and how it started, the inception. For you, Andrew, it'll be even about the formative ideas. Margaux, how you came onto the piece, what drew you in, how you found your way in. And these questions are for you too. Joel, can you hear? Excellent.
Yes.
So any order, and then Ao, 3 weeks ago, what was your beginning like? So any order you like.
I mean, our beginnings is sort of a shared beginning of, okay, this is good. Ao and I met while I was making a show, and then we started and then after that show, we started making a show together, and 10 years ago, that show got canceled at PS 122, but then got picked up by Under the Radar, and at Under the Radar, Jochen Sendig, who is half of Sasha Waltzengest's leadership, saw that and waited in the lobby and said, "Hey, do you work with dancers?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Would you like to?" I said, "Yeah, it'd be a dream come true." So, and then like 2 years, and I said, "Are you sure you got the right guy? Like, you should Google me, you know?" and then 2 years later, ended up in Berlin met Joel and Margaux. And I was just like, I've never made a dance before. How do we do this? And they were like world-class dancers. They're the world-class dance company. So we figured, and I came up with some sketches. Like, I want to make these impossible realities. Like, and here's a book about time. Let's all read it together. And then we did that. and then, that show opened on March 20th, 2020. March 19th, 2020. Yeah.
We're very lucky, in general.
Yeah, and then and I came back a few more times, but the three of us really got on together, and so we said let's like keep making stuff that's sort of around the same themes of time and space.
What did it feel like wasn't done at the end of Remains that you wanted to continue with Margaux and Joel?
There was we had always talked about making manifest invisible forces, and this pulse that travels through us, and these like impossible synchronicities out of nowhere, and just like the simplicity. Like, we wanted to just start with the simplicity of like 5 people noticing a sound that no one else notices, and so like to me that is choreography, like the mundane choreography of the world, just like someone. There's like 5 people sneeze at the same time or whatever, things like that. Do you want to say more? No. I felt like I was rambling.
No. It's all what I would have said as well. Yeah, I think that we wanted to keep on working after Remains, also because it was this extraordinary encounter. When you make art, like you invent games and rules to be creative, and this comes because there is an alchemy.
Alchemy?
Thank you very much. Between like poetic places of the people, and the fact that we didn't come from the same fields with the same tools and the same languages was actually super enriching, in the sense that Andrew would come up with those incredible ideas and like mind-blowing, like fracturing time and space, but for that also like having experts at body in time and space like dancers was very practical. And for us it was like deepening the universe of what we can do, and rather than working on how can I do shape after each other the way we're trained in dance in the Western world, it was like how can I put my expertise at service of a new way to see and sense the world. And so I feel that, yeah, because of this encounter, we just wanted to go on playing with those things.
Joel?
Yeah, no, it's also the opportunity to challenge a little bit what is the meaning of being a dancer. What does it mean to me to be a dancer? Because me, for example, I'm not actor, you know, and the language of this piece is like completely mundane. I don't know how to sit on a stage, you know, just to sit like a normal person, just to laugh like a normal person. I'm all about doing the weird stuff. That, you know. And suddenly there comes this guy that is asking you to just like pick your nose and just to look up. And the whole thing is structured in such a way that it actually still feels like a dancer, and I can employ myself and my talents still as a dancer. But the discovery of this of those talents at service of such a new language, it was mind blowing. Yeah.
Thanks. Ayo, I wonder if I can throw you a question as someone who's worked with Andrew for a decade now, that's right? And also the dramaturg on this piece. I wonder if you have an interesting perspective on this work in relation to what Andrew's work has done over the last 10 years.
Yeah, I do. I think there are some themes that are similar, and there are some things that run through, but I think like quantum mechanics and synchronicities and parallel universes, those are all like strong concepts within your work. And then it seems like with each show it kind of like narrows down, like the first, like after there was like, but we focused more on like hallucinations, and so like each show seems to like pick up some of there's like a big table of material, and each show kind of like picks up some of it and just refines it a little bit more, it seems like. But there's also this element of, you say something like you use quantum mechanics and phenomena as staging. What are the words that you use?
Like the second law of thermodynamics and grief are very similar.
No, that you use them as opportunities. But this is true. You also say that. I mean, the first show, there was a lot of thermodynamics. I feel like then the third show, I feel like the stars there was more grief. Like you're sort of picking up similar things. But there's a thing that you say around like quantum mechanics and physics and phenomena as staging opportunities. Oh
yeah. I use neurological, psychological, and physiological phenomena as a blueprint for staging. So it's like it's like that's the blocking.
Yeah. So you say that, and when you say like the blueprint, we've worked a lot with actors in the past, so we think about that in the form of blocking. But I think what's different now is you're turning it really into physicality. You're using those things and then actually turning it into the dance, and then creating the embodiment of that thing. And that's something that's different. And in the past, we worked with actors, and the work needs both. It needs really strong movement skills, really strong ability to like listen to the energy of the body and embody an idea. And then it also requires the ability to be wholly present in the moment. And sometimes with dance, there is a sense of presence, of like presentation, but not necessarily like, oh, I'm just sitting with you on stage. Margaux and I are here together. And this work requires both the ability to move your body in really particular ways, and then also be able to relate and be very much in the present moment. So it's nice to see those elements sort of beginning to wrap together It's good texture.
Great. I'm wondering, I was really starting to think about this piece as a sextet that's haunted by this trio that can't be here together now. And I'm wondering if you learned anything, or you feel like you're learning anything about this piece from the sextet, so that eventually when you can all three be together again, it might end up being a trio haunted by a sextet. Is there something from this new thing that you're going to fold in?
But that's the work always, isn't it? Like, because we're busy working with the invisible forces and saying that I could have met you or you, and we could have missed each other, or we could have fallen in love. You know, sextet and trio is like, it's the core. Like when all this disaster and tragedy happened, where we thought that none of us would make it here, we were like, okay, so what piece are we making? Then I made it here. And it was like, okay, so what piece are we making now? You know, like, so it's like, but then Andrew realized, he said like, okay, our whole process in the past 3 years has been on the invisible, the missing ones, what happens in the intangible places and presence and absence. So it was like, it's in the DNA of the work. How are we gonna do? I don't know. But
yeah, but the whole piece has been, it's been when we first got in the room, we were like, every word that is said in this piece is verbatim text that we just said. Like we sit down and we have a rehearsal, we sit down and there's a question of the day. Are you an animal? It's the best moment of your life, in front of you or behind you. Sunrise or sunset, you know.
What do you miss?
What do you miss? So Margaux's missing monologue at the end is verbatim, with no edits, exactly what she said as an answer to the question, what do you miss? My opening monologue is the answer to the question, what do you miss? And so we would take those things, and it's just like, we tried to not make anything up, basically, which seems weird when you're making a show. But we really tried to just be like, what is the source text? And you know, you were like, well, what books are you reading, Andrew? And we read The Order of Time by Carlo Rovelli, and like, you know, The Hidden Reality, Brian Greene, all these things that I'm into. And this one we read a graphic novel called Here by Richard Maguire, which sort of gave us time and space ideas. But it was really, the source text just became our conversations, and listening back to our conversations and trying to inhabit each other. A thing that you don't see on stage tonight because Joel's not here, is we play the conversation the same way that I slowly stop talking. I slowly stop moving my mouth in the monologue that you hear, and my voice continues. We seed that idea, and then later in the piece, we pass a monologue back and forth between all of us. So we inhabit each other's existences. And so I feel like the specific people that ended up working, the sextet that ended up working on this show, like, will definitely haunt this show. Like, they have made things that can't be stripped now from the work. Like, it's made of the things that inhabit it always. Yeah.
But it's going to be deeply satisfying when is it in August that you get to be with Joel again and make the trio happen?
Yes. Yes.
Joel, do you want to add anything to this? What it feels like from your end? Working on this over Zoom?
No, just to say that every time that we got together on a creative level, the work has been extremely reactive to the environment that we are in. We started in basically a house, like literally a house with a stair, and Andrew was sleeping upstairs, and the stairs was, with a bathroom, a studio there on a residency. And we had this wonderful little show in there, but that was specific to the reality of a house. And then we go to a proper theater, and it was like, oh my God, what do we do now? There is no house, you know? So every time we were finding new questions and new answers to the realities that we were facing. This is in no way ideal. It is a tragedy, what is happening. It's really sad what is happening. It's not the place we would like to be in. But again, I always tell us, like I believe in what we do. I believe in the talents that we have, in our resilience as well. And yeah, and this time was no difference than that. And also the beautiful irony of the whole situation. Like if this wouldn't happen, we wouldn't have met these other wonderful people that you saw on the stage today. And that has to count for something as well, you know? Yeah.
This isn't a direct answer to your question, Catherine, but just coming off of that, like thinking about how Andrew makes work and the specificity with which you make work, but also the themes. I had seen the showings leading up over the last 3 years, the showings leading up to this. And so I knew a lot about the themes around missing, around absence, around here and not here. And so I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to say it, Pam, you can kill me later. When there was talk of like what's going to happen, is the show going to have to get canceled? Like, or is there a different show that's going to come? Or are we going to do a past show? I really felt like the themes that were already in the show just so like reflected so well, obviously, right? It was just like the situation we were in, but also like you can see that Andrew's work, right, is very specific and he works very hard to make it that way, but it also still is very responsive. It's very responsive to the people. It's very responsive to the relationships that he's built. And so it felt like a very natural way to be responsive to the time that we're in. And I felt like we are not the only people right now dealing with visa issues, right? This is a crux. This is an important time that we're in, and to make art that really responds to the moment, you know, even though we have these planned things and these world premieres and we only have 3 weeks, like how can we use the material that we have, the relationships that we've built to do exactly what it is that we're trying to do, which is be humans in a room together, sharing our experiences and our griefs and our happinesses and our losses about being human. So it felt timely.
I think this is also a terrific time to turn to the audience. I know the artists on stage here, and Joel would love to hear your thoughts and your questions. Her question is about sequencing and how you deal with overlapping sequences, and maybe you remember more than what I just repeated.
Yeah. I mean, the intro, the dystopian thing you're talking about, internally we name all the scenes. That's called aggressive beginning. And I think that specific scene was born out of a frustration. We remade the first 20 minutes of the show 20 times, and it was just like, and every time we were like, this is the one, yes, we got it. And then every time we revisit it, we were like, this is terrible. We are not good at what we're supposed to be doing. And so that was a response to like, let's just start. And I believe in I'm still figuring out what, I just believe in the instinct, and then I figure out what it means a little later, sometimes, like improv, that's how improv works. And then we sequence things. I mean, we thought we had a sequence up until, I think, 2 days before the sequence that you see now. So to me, it was a major existential change that we made. But it's true, and we call that the metabolism of the piece, and it's like it is almost more important than the specific things that are in it, is like the ride that we go on, because you're not necessarily following a narrative story, and so but we still you don't necessarily follow a narrative story when you listen to music also, but we need to compose it as if it's composed like music, so that there are rising and falling actions, you know.
There's a lot of post-it notes that happen with the naming of the scenes, and then a lot of like trying to put those in different orders in order to find out what the metabolism is. Andrew has a really good sense of instinct, which is sometimes hard to crack when you're trying to crack it as a dramaturg and say like, no, I think you should put this thing over here. But it's really good because you follow that instinct so that you can see where things are falling into place, and that you know then when you change them that the change is what you want, which I think is really good. And you know, we'll see that like if we take one thing, one scene, and we put it at the beginning, then it operates really different than how it operated at the end. So it's like part like mathematical, almost like really working out like, wow, where does this go and where does this go, and then part just really following instinct and inspiration. And I feel like in a sense the piece kind of tells you what it needs to be.
Great. Another question? So the question is, she's responded to the sense of different dimensions in the piece and noticed the mention of the Twilight Zone and wants to know if there's a favorite episode.
Yes, there is. It's not the one where it's Earth all along. It's the one where it's a suburban landscape in the 50s, and there's like a flash of light in like the town over, and then all the power goes out in this one town, and then all the neighbors come out and they say, "Whoa, all the power went out. Frank, your power went out." This is because all their names are like Frank and Henry and stuff like this. Your power went out. Your power went out, and then one of the guys' cars starts, and they're like, "Hey, Chuck, why did your car start?" And then his lights go on. He's like, "Hey, Chuck, why? Like, whoa, why are your lights on? Is something going on over here, Chuck?" And so they start getting suspicious of each other. And then in the beginning, sorry, I missed the part. In the beginning, there was a guy who was like, "I'm going to go check the town, the one town over." And then at the end of the episode, you've forgotten about this by this point, but all the townspeople are like fighting. And then he comes up the road and he's like backlit, so he looks like a monster or something. He's like, you know, walking down the road. And then there's a gunshot and he gets killed. And they all run up to him and they say, "Oh my God, what have we done?" And he's dead on the ground. And then people start like fighting in the streets because everyone's lights are going on and off, and they're all suspicious of each other. And then the camera slowly zooms out and it zooms into the interior of a spaceship, in which there are like aliens, and the aliens turn to each other and they say, "It's so easy. All we have to do is just make them suspicious of each other."
Wow.
I'm going to take one more. Great question. So she's curious about the technology as part of the group's process and when it starts entering into the work.
Yeah, just immediately. Like, and so we wear wireless in-ears. That's how we, like, the secret, spoiler, it's how we synchronize some of our movement. We're listening to the same thing that you're not hearing. We're hearing things that you're not hearing. And so that's easy enough to, like, I came from, like, I want to make super technological theater, but I do not have the equipment. You know, like, how do I do that? I don't have access to the equipment, and I don't have the equipment. So I was like, well, I don't have like wireless in-ears, and I don't have like, you know, theater lights, but I have like YouTube videos, and I have like some old iPhones that we can all press play at the same time. So we started doing that, sort of like making secret tracks and listening to them and like doing that. And then with the lighting stuff, like I started just by like watching YouTube and making my own like LED lights, just to get a sense of like, I can't have access to a theater all the time, so I'm gonna like do the DIY version so that I can do the idea. So I'm not waiting to do the idea, because for me the design the design is another source text. It's like, it's another player. It's part of us. It's an essential part, and I don't want it to ride on top of everything else. It just wants to be seamlessly in there. So it's always from the beginning, even if it's just like a prototype. You know, like, yeah, that's been important to me. And I mean, like with y'all, I wonder, like, you know, I showed up in Berlin with like, here, stick these earpieces in your ears and like, don't like. Try to be present. Try to be as present as you can be while listening to me giving instructions in your ear over here and dancing to like a hidden soundtrack over here.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, what was that like?
I mean, the greatest thing of my life. I could stop drugs. No, this is not true. No, so I think that I'm gonna answer many questions at once. I think that Joel and I have this thing in common that that we love performing and we love dancing and being on stage, also because it gives us a high, right? You are in a hyper present moment, and meeting Andrew, where the work starts with the in-ear, with some of the technical aspects. It puts you in a place where you have to deal with so much information at once that you have to be hyper-present, which is the most amazing game. It's like playing football if you can play football, which is not my case. But so like receiving all of this at the moment is just like an incredible game to play and opens like new doors of creativity all the time. Cookie?
Yeah. We are about out of time, but I just want to maybe throw this to Joel for one last bit in answer to that. The experience of performing in this way, was that new to you with the in-ear? And what was that experience like?
Yeah, that's new. That's new, totally new to me. This is completely new to me. I loved it from the beginning on. Like, yeah. The first time that we met, I remember we were watching videos, and I was checking Andrew a little bit, who is this new guy, first time ever that somebody invites another artist to such as a guest. And I checked videos, and I was like, this guy has a machine that takes a picture of you every time you blink. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I also would like to talk about technology. Not only in devices, you know, like the in-ears, lights, sounds, but also like on our physicality. You know, like dance is usually so abstract, and it allows you to get lost in expressionism. But it gets very, very real in terms of you have to explode. There is an invisible force, and if you don't see it, if you don't really, really see it, it's not the same. Then you also don't see it, you know? Or what we call split realities. You have to be able to make the jump from one reality to the next reality in a split of a second, you know? That's an approach that, in a way, is also technological, you know, or a service of this, you know, tools that maybe belongs to editing or filmmaking or other disciplines, you know. Mm.
But it's live and it's present at the same time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because you know that we're in front of you, and that's the magic. Yeah.
And I think on that note, I think we're out of time. But thank you so much for joining us.